Welcome back, everybody. We're live at the trade show once again.
That is so low intensity.
I'm trying to. My voice is really high. I feel like on camera, so I try and.
First up, is this live or are you taping this?
No, we're live.
Oh, good. You suck at this.
Thank
you gotta
you. Thank you.
Come on, more projection. Throw some enthusiasm in it.
Always tell me that.
Well, then you should start listening to me.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Hi, I'm here with Blind Man's Puff, and you're in the PCA 2024 booth of Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust. I'm sitting here with my good friends, and let's go from there.
Hey, you want to walk around with us and do more interviews?
Nah, I got shit to do.
Okay. So yeah, we're talking with Steve Saka, my favorite dude. Maybe the most instigator on Facebook. Like, you like to stir shit up on Facebook, right? Like, is that your favorite thing to do?
Here's the thing. So, look, all these companies, they have to do all this social media bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And it's also pre-packaged and vanilla. And for me, if I got to do it, I at least want to enjoy it, right? So the whole thing, the other thing, too, is I can write all sorts of stupid shit, and I don't have to worry about my boss firing me because I'm the boss. So that makes things a lot easier. Sure. So yeah, I mean, I just think it's more entertaining and more fun if it's like real engagement rather than okay, we need to do this and we need to do that, and I don't know. So I just do what I do. Now, if that means that I'm stirring up shit, then I'm stirring up shit. But I don't have like an intent that I'm gonna stir up shit.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean, in all honesty, like, nobody does social media, I think, better engagement than you do. Like, that's a big reason your customers love you and your fans love you, is because you actually will bullshit with them online and you'll comment on stuff. And I think
I'll get into all sorts of conversations.
Yeah.
It doesn't just have to be cigar oriented or tobacco. I'll comment on all sorts of nonsense.
I love it.
The only thing I try to avoid is politics, because there's just no win in that one.
Never.
You know what I mean? So that I kind of stay out of. But yeah,
you're not going to change anyone's mind.
Yeah, of course not.
Facebook.
So I mean, I have my opinions, but look, I got to vote. I use my vote to vote the way I want. Yeah. I'm not going to sway other people anyway, so why bother?
Yeah. So speaking about Facebook posts, the most talked about cigar cutter in history, right? You're finally shipping them, yes?
We'll be shipping next month.
Okay.
But we'll only be able to ship about 200 a month for like the next 6 months. So, I mean, the problem with the cutters, good thing, however you view it, is Luigi can only put together about 200 a month.
Yeah.
So 200 is the number. He says maybe he can do a little better. I'd love for him to be done sooner, but the bottom line is it's a pretty special piece of kit that requires all hand assembly and hand tuning, and that's what it is.
How many iterations what iteration are you on now?
So we are at the 7th generation of prototype to get this point. Yeah.
So 7 generations before it's
and 2 years.
Yeah.
And $40,000 pissed down the tubes. But you understand, I didn't make the cutter to sell the cutter. I made the cutter for 2 things. I made the cutter because I needed a good cutter.
Yeah.
So there have been very few good single blade cutters made over the years, and one of the best ones was the one that Paul Gormari, the Sheffield cutter. You may have recently read about that one. That was kind of like that was kind of what I was trying to recreate.
Yeah.
Was that kind of cutter experience. So, I mean, there's tons of cutters. Yeah, the cutter we have is fantastic. Is it worth what it's worth? That's a matter of debate. I mean, but the reality is, no, nobody needs a $300 cutter to cut a cigar. So you should not be going out of your way to get one of these cutters. But at the same time, look, I love knives, right?
Yes.
Really good everyday carry, well-crafted knives. They cost $550 to $1,000 now.
Yeah.
That's about what a really good knife. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get a Spyderco that's super sharp and is a fantastic knife for $120. You absolutely can. but it's not hand assembled, hand tuned, refined the same way as something from like Medford Knife and Tool or Christopher Reeve. So the DTT cutter is kind of in that class of product, kind of mid tier. So it's a special bit of kit that if you want something like that, great. Do you need it? Is it practical? Fuck no.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
But we appreciate, like, I think the attraction is the care and the thought you put into it, right? Like, so we see that you go through these painstaking, ridiculously stupid process changes before it's even out. And we know that that's the care you put into your cigars too.
Yeah. Like I said, I really just need a good cutter for myself. So now I'm basically trying to get you guys to pay for what I wanted.
Yeah. So we're recouping your costs for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping to have.
Cost.
But I'm not getting rich on cutters. There's no way to get rich on cutters.
No, I don't think anyone is, except maybe Steve Zycar.
Yeah, well, you understand something about that. So like, you want to like really go in the weeds on this?
Sure.
So like when it comes to durable goods, have you ever heard of the term plexing?
What is it?
Plexing.
With a P?
Yes, with a P. So when a manufacturer, somebody that sells hard consumable goods, what they call it a plex. So the average plex is 5, which means if it costs you $100 to make something, it has to sell for a minimum of $500. So almost everything that you buy, we buy as consumers, when you go buy your $187 pair of Nike shoes, those shoes essentially have to cost about $27 to make in order for it to be $187 because of all the taxes and the distribution channels and everything involved in it. So that's when you go and you buy a cutter that costs you $100 at a retail store, the actual true manufacturing cost of that item is about $15 to $18. That's what it is. So the DTT cutters, the actual hard cost of making a DTT cutter is about $125 from the factory before you pay import, before you do distribution, before you make profit, any of that. Not counting the prototype money, the $40,000 that I pissed away in R&D, and that's my fault. That's just because I want to spend too much money. But that would actually legitimately make that cutter, if you were going to sell it retail with the intent of making a profit on it long term, it makes it a $750 cutter. I have no interest in being in the $750 cutter business. I don't even have any interest in being in the $335 cutter business. So essentially, what we do with these cutters is we're just basically giving them to our best purveyors who do business on Sober Mesa and Mi Querida and Sin Compromiso, and we're giving those cutters to them as a thank you for giving us tens of thousands of dollars of business every single year and being a supporter of the company and the brand. But I have no intention of being in the cutter business. And I know that annoys people, okay? But look, it's not my job to make you what you want. Because guess what? You can go and make the cutter yourself, spend your own $40,000, and you can make anything in the world you want. So
there you go.
Yeah. So that's just kind of the way. The cutter is a cutter. It's a really good cutter. It's well engineered. It's a beautiful piece of kit. But the truth is, you can use your fingernail or teeth for $0, and you can still smoke your cigar.
Absolutely. Does that same flex number apply to cigars?
No. So cigars are different. Cigars are consumable. You smoke a cigar, and then you light another cigar, and you smoke it again. So the margins on consumable goods are much, much lower. So look, we as a company, boy, I'm really getting in the weeds here.
Hey.
Most companies, they like to work on like what they call about a 60% gross margin. We tend to operate around a 40% gross margin. So we're a little tighter, but we can do that because we're a small, light family company, okay? And so we're able to do that. But that's a much different scenario. You buy this crazy cutter, you're going to use it for 20 years. You buy a cigar, you're going to smoke it on Tuesday to need a new one on Wednesday, right? So that's a much different business.
Yeah. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah. And the blind man pup audience going, what the fuck is this?
That's why they watch. They love getting in the weeds on this stuff, man. All right. Let's talk about some new stuff you're showing off. What do we got? Want to start with this one?
That's probably the highlight, right?
We can save it.
I don't know. I don't care. You do the order you want. I don't give a rat's ass.
All right, we're going to talk about this GFY. That stands for good fun yum yums, right?
Yeah, good for you.
Good for you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. 10 different cigars in here. Tell us about it.
So, anyone that's followed me for any period of time knows my absolute love for Lanceros.
Oh, yeah. It's your favorite.
Yeah, yeah. Lancero junkies drive you crazy. They always want a Lancero. The problem with Lanceros is no one buys them but the Lancero junkies, right? And the thing with the Lancero junkies, and look, not all of them, but the vast majority of them, they're always chasing the next Lancero. They buy a box of whatever. They smoke 2 out of the box to then put it in their Lancero shrine to spend the next 10 years talking about how good that Lancero was to never buy another one, right? It's like one of the worst selling cigars on the planet, Lanceros. Yeah. It really is. And retailers don't like to stock them.
No.
Except for very few that are Lancero-centric. Consumers don't buy them, except for the Lancero junkies, to only buy 1 box, right? It's not like they buy a Lancero. There's exceptions, but most of them, they don't buy it and go, that's my favorite Lancero, so I'm always going to have 2-3 boxes of these in my collection, and when I smoke it down, I'm going to buy another box. That's not the way it works. They're always chasing the next Lancero. So I've always been a really anti-Lancero guy because it just doesn't commercially make sense. Also, I've never blended a Lancero that I didn't think I could make better as a Lonsdale, because Lanceros, as much as all the bullshit, most complex, the most difficult, it's all bullshit. The reality is it's very simple to blend Lanceros, because it's like ordering off a Chinese menu. It's like put column A with column B with column C, put B with C, put C with A, because you have no room to work.
You can only have 4 leaves,
right? You can basically have a binder, a wrapper, and 1 filler, and then maybe a little half strip smidgen of another one. It's very simple. And not only is the blending have to be simple, but you can't do any of the fancy tricks of the trade where you're positioning the tobacco. I'm backloading, I'm front loading, I'm shifting the tips to here, I'm dropping out the butts. You have no space to do any of this nonsense. Right. So as a blender, Lonsdales are much more interesting than Lanceros. But that doesn't change the Lancero junkie. Lancero junkies are Lancero junkies, and they're relentless. When are you going to make this? When are you going to make it? When are you going to make a Sober Mason Lancero? When are you going to make a Mi Querida Lancero? For me to make it, for them to buy once to never buy again. So I thought, you know what? Give the Lancero junkie what the Lancero junkie wants. They always want the next Lancero. When I was blending the Now Leave Me Hell Alone, I made 67 A, B, C, D column Lanceros. I had like 7 different tracks going, different wrappers, different fillers. And I just went back to my blending notes and I picked out about 14 of them from my notes that I thought that were the most interesting. Remade those, smoked through them, picked the ones that I thought were the 8, not necessarily the best, but the ones that were uniquely different, that were palatable enough to smoke. And so I put them in 1 box. I put 1 Now Leave Me Alone. I picked 8 of those from the original 63 blends. I put those in there and numbered them 2 through 8. And then just as an extra little cherry on top, I made the absolute worst cigar I could possibly think of making, which of course is a Candela. So what worse can be than a Candela Lancero?
Didn't you say you would release a Candela over your dead body?
Right, so I'm going to make a Candela Lancero. I can't think of a worse cigar to make, and I get to label that one GFY. So there you go. You now have a Lancero collection. If you're a Lancero junkie, there's 10 Lanceros, 10 totally different blends, all in 1 box. Have to it, and don't ask me ever again, because I gave you 10 fucking Lanceros, man.
And the Candela is terrible. You're really selling it, right?
Yeah. I have to tell you, I'm actually okay with the Candela one. Yeah? Well, it turned out better than I hoped it would. I actually wanted it to be worse.
What else is in that Candela?
I'm not telling anybody any of the blends.
Oh, you're not telling anybody?
Well, here's the reason why I don't want to. Because I think this is, I know I'm speaking very like this, but part of the thing that does make the project unique is I don't want to predispose anyone's opinions, because you might smoke the L6 and say, why didn't he make that to Now Leave Me the Hell Alone? Or like, wow, I smoked the 3 and I understand why he didn't choose that one. Yeah. So part of what makes it interesting and fun as a smoker is for you to smoke them and take your own notes and to compare and contrast. So I don't want to disclose the blends in advance and predispose everybody. I don't want them to know this one has a Sumatran, and this is Ecuador Habano, and this is San Andres Negro. I want everyone to have the experience of going into it blind, and I'm hoping it generates some conversation. Oh, the 8 sucked. No, are you kidding me? The 8's the best. I'm hoping. I mean, that's look. We take what we do. I know I'm very cavalier about a lot of things, but I mean, I do take the cigars and tobacco very seriously, but I always have.
Yeah.
And it's part of what we do as a company, and it's part of what our customers expect from us, and it's what we owe to them. So, but at the same time, I can be a little cheeky and a little fun. Everything doesn't have to be really serious. And so the Lancero collection is meant for people that want more of an experience than really anything else.
Yeah.
So at some point after we launch them, I guess we're going to deliver most of them in November. We're actually going to deliver all of them. I don't even know what date I wrote down, October, November. It's really going to depend on how many ordered at the trade show.
Okay.
Right? It's going to determine, because we're making these cut to order, which is not something we normally do as a company. Like Wagashi, I've been rolling Wagashi since December of 2022.
Yeah.
Okay. So Wagashi, it's ongoing. Syncompromiso
Yeah.
number 4, ongoing. But with the Lanceros, I am not spending $250,000 to make Lanceros that I don't know if anyone's ever going to buy. So Lanceros we're going to make specifically to what's ordered is what we're going to do. I believe we're going to be able to deliver them all in November is what I think. And then I'll probably let them be in the market for 3-4 months, give everybody an opportunity to smoke them. And then I'll be happy to tell everybody what all the individual blends on the Lanceros are. But I don't want to predispose the opinion of what it is. Because look, when I say to you, this has Sumatra wrapper on it, you already have a preconception as to how you feel about Sumatra, right? So I don't want to take that out of the experience. I want consumers to kind of do what you guys do, where you do blind cigar tests, right?
Yeah,
I want people to test them blind. But it's not because I want to be secretive about it. I'm happy to tell everybody, but I don't want to take the surprise experience out in the beginning.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to it. That's an interesting project for sure.
It's fun.
We appreciate it. Especially
it's quirky.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how you guys are going to review it. You're going to have to buy like 22 boxes or something.
Probably 5. Yeah. But yes, we will do that. All right. What other new, you have some new sizes. What else do you want to talk about?
Yeah. So in Sin Compromiso, when we originally launched the brand in 2018, I was never happy with the Robusto blend. It just never seemed right to me. So we released the brand without a Robusto, which is really stupid because, I mean, Robusto, Toro are the 2 best-selling cigars. Yeah. But I always thought that in 2019 I would come back and fix it. So the Robusto was good for prime time. And I just got kind of busy. And I finally realized, oh my God, it's been in the market for 5 years and I've still never put a Robusto. So I made the effort to go back and tweak the Robusto to get it the way it needed to be. So we're finally launching the Robusto in Sin Compromiso. Stillwell, that's really simple. One of our most popular blends that we've released in Stillwell was the Holiday 2022. It sold out. We did a repeat for Christmas in July of the 2022. It also sold out. I have retailers and consumers saying, man, I want more of those cigars. So now we're just going to make it permanently part of the line. So if you really love the Holiday 2022 blend, it's now available as part of the core. It's just called Aromatic number 2022. Same identical cigar, aromatic. Unlike the Aromatic number 1, which has a sweet tip, the 2022 never had a sweet tip. So the one in the box also doesn't have a sweet tip. So for those people because that cigar gives you this kind of, I always compare it to like hot cocoa with a little bit of marshmallow in it. Kind of gives you that kind of sensation aroma-wise. Yeah. So that's now available all the time.
Are you still going to do an annual new holiday blend?
I'm supposed to, but I'm running way behind.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing this year yet. And then, I mean, I have blends done, but I haven't decided which I'm going to pull the trigger on.
Okay.
I may decide this year because I'm so busy and so far behind with everything. I may just do a repeat of the 2023 because I have a lot of demand for that one too.
Sure.
The Connecticut Shade one that we did last year, consumers really like that. And since we only did a limited batch, maybe I'll just do another bite at the apple on that one. But I haven't made that decision. Ask me. I have to make the decision in the next 2 weeks, but I don't have to make the decision sitting here talking to you. So, so we have that in the Stillwell line for everyone that likes that, and then we have Wagashi.
Yeah.
Wagashi has always been a long-term plan to release. We started rolling those in the last quarter of 2022. The thing that's very interesting about Wagashi, and I kind of want to warn consumers on this one. So we have Sobremesa Brulee, and then we have Sobremesa Brulee Blue. Brulee Blue gets all the internet love.
Yeah.
It's the one that keeps getting the top rankings, right? Number 1 this, number 2 that. The thing about the blue that most people don't realize is the blue is a slightly stronger blend, and the people that really love the blue are typically people that don't smoke mild Connecticut shade cigars. The blue is the cigar that normally the person that smokes much heavier cigars, when they want a mild cigar, they want a shade cigar, the blue is like a dream for them, right? But if you're a regular Sobremesa Brulee smoker that smokes the Toro or the Robusto, they aren't as keen on the blue.
That makes sense.
Okay?
Yeah.
So Wagashi is meant for those people so that they have a step up. So if you're a real lover of the Brulee blend, what Wagashi is it's a more delicate, more refined, smoother, creamier kind of expression of Sobremesa Brulee. And that's what Wagashi is. So if you as a consumer absolutely love the blue, I would love for you to try Wagashi, but don't buy a whole box of Wagashi. Because if you think you're just going to be getting a bigger blue, you're going to be disappointed. Because that's not what Wagashi is. Wagashi is really meant for all the people out there that love Brulee, and they want that extra special Brulee. And that's who Wagashi is intended for.
Got it.
Box press, which slows the combustion. It's just a more delicate, light nutty, nice sweet. It's a really super pleasing cigar, but for a mild cigar smoker.
Sure.
If you're a heavy cigar smoker, I don't know that Wagashi would be your cup of tea.
Yeah, I smoke everything. We actually we already reviewed that, and I think we gave it like a 92. So we liked it.
Yeah, but I'm sure one of you gave it a 96 and one of you gave it a 78.
That's how it goes, though.
Yeah.
You can't please everyone.
Yeah. Well, look, but that's true with all cigars,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
That's why there's a variety of cigars. Who's my biggest critic on Blind Man's Puff? Who normally dislikes my cigars the most?
I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know if I can come up with a name, but yeah, there's always like three or four out of 5 will love it, and there's always one that's like, eh.
But that should be the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look, one of the things that we do as a company that I think is unique from a lot of other companies is we have a very wide, diverse portfolio, not just in brands, but in expressions.
Yeah.
So we try to make cigars that deliver unique, different experiences within the brands, with the understanding is that not all consumers are the same. And what I absolutely love in a smoking experience, strength-wise, flavor-wise, body-wise, is something that somebody else dislikes.
Yeah.
So we try to make lines and blends that hopefully somewhere in the Dunbarton universe, you will find something that you absolutely love. Now, the intent is that they all be very good cigars.
Yeah.
Okay, and that hopefully the thing that I think is the best compliment is for someone to say, it was a really good cigar, but it isn't for me.
Right.
Right? That's what you want to have hopefully happen. At the same time, you want to have that. You want the guy who says that about a Sobremesa Brulee Toro go, but man, that Mi Querida Tricky Traca 648, that's fire.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's really two different people.
Yeah.
That love a 648 versus the person that loves a Brulee or Robusto. And that's the intent, is to try to provide something for everybody for whatever their particular style is. Now, in my case, it's a mood thing. I smoke across the spectrum, right? Do I smoke a lot of Stillwells? No, I don't. But there are times where I crave an English number 27, and that's what I pull out of the humidor. and that's what I smoke, and I go, damn, that's a fine cigar.
Yeah.
Okay, but maybe I pull that out of the humidor once every 45 days.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite cigar that you've ever made, I don't think I could even get any more. The Todos Los Dias Half Corona. That was my favorite. You don't make that anymore, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, I still have a box or two.
I don't have enough tobacco to make it regular production anymore.
Yeah.
That's the problem with that cigar. And I don't like to make cigars that I can't make consistent. If I can't make it consistently, I don't want to change the blend just because it's selling.
Yeah.
Because I think you're then doing a disservice to the consumer. Because, I mean, how many cigars have we all smoked that we've fallen in love with to find that it tastes so much different a year later?
All the
and
time.
It's like they just ruined the cigar. And they just do it because they can't make it the way it was, but yet they still have sales on it. But I think that's taking advantage of your customer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
So I don't if I can't make it the way it's supposed to be, I just won't make it.
Yeah. It's fair enough. So right now you're pairing a Noah's Mill bourbon with a Me Curated Black. Do you put?
I pair the Noah's Mill with life. Yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Do you put a lot of thought into cigar whiskey pairings?
No, not really.
No?
Yeah, I think that's a totally different racket. I know there's a lot of people that put a lot in it, but I find that if you really start talking to people, they tend to drink what they like, they tend to smoke what they like, and that's a perfect pairing as far as they're concerned. Look, there's certain things. Wines can be difficult pairings. Sakis are difficult pairings. Look, I'm a big Islay Scotch guy. I'm more a Scotch guy than a bourbon guy. My favorite ones are the peatier Scotches.
Yeah.
Peaty Scotches can be a very difficult pairing with cigars.
Yeah.
Because the Scotch can overwhelm. So as much as I'm an Islay Scotch guy, like when I'm going with cigars, I'll go with like the Lagavulin Distillers Edition that's finished in the Pedro Jimenez cast. Softens it a little bit. If you're a Lafroig junkie, one of the least loved Lafroigs by Lafroig junkies is Lafroig Lore, because it softens the peat. It softens that acidic iodine nature of it. But the Lore, because of the sweet nature of it being finished in those sherry casks, it softens it and it makes it a better pairing for me with cigars. So while I love the Lafroig 10 as a drink, if I'm actually pairing with a cigar, I'd rather drink the Lore, because the Lore is a little bit better lead-in for cigars. One of my favorite Scotch pairing with cigars is I really love the Balvenie Caribbean cask.
Yeah.
You know, that little bit of sweetness from the rum cask that they finished that in, that pairs really good with
little
cigars.
sweetness goes a long way when you're smoking with it.
But ultimately, I think when it comes down to pairings, I think most people just, I like to drink this, I like to smoke this, it's a perfect pairing.
Yeah. If you love it, it's perfect, right? All right, so one last question for you. As a blender, like, where do you start in your process? Like, do you have, when you come up with something totally new, do you have an idea in your head for like a profile you start with, or do you find?
So there are 3 ways that blends are created today.
Okay.
The first way is you have a special material that you want to build a blend around.
Right.
Oftentimes it's a particular wrapper, but it might also be a particular filler.
Sure.
And that starts as that's the initial kernel. I want to build a blend around this particular tobacco and go from there. The second way that you construct a blend is, hey, there's a particular style of cigar or genre I want to make. I want to make something that's really heavy, really full-bodied, really peppery, and that's kind of like the jumping point in which you go into. Let me blend a cigar with this intent of where it's going to go. And then the third way, which regretfully has become the most popular way, is by the marketing weenies in this company saying, well, cigar X is selling really well, so we need to make a cigar that fits this kind of profile to match that kind of cigar, because that cigar is selling well, and it gets all focus group. And sadly, most of the cigars made in the marketplace today, that's really where they start from. Is from the marketing weedies sitting around a table in some office that know absolutely nothing about cigars,
Right.
and know nothing about tobacco.
I don't see Dunbarton go in that direction.
No, that's not us. Yeah, but normally most of it is because I have a certain genre that I'd like, or because I have a particular tobacco that I want to feature.
Gotcha. Perfect. All right. Anything else we missed? Anything else you want to share with us you got coming up?
You do know that I do like 40 of these during the show?
Yes.
Yeah, you're expecting me to create interesting things for us to talk about? I mean, good God, no. You're on your own. You don't have more to ask. I don't have more to say.
All right. Then that's it.
There you go.
Thank
We're
you.
done.
Thank you so much, Steve. Always a pleasure.